What's good, everybody, man? Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. It's your host, Earl of Pearl. Appreciate you joining me. Don't forget, man, if you woke up today, if you got an opportunity to get up out the bed, move your limbs around, you already won. I hope you've taken this 24 hours and put yourself in a different position towards being great. Remember, man, drop where you're watching from. Drop that hashtag U216. Remember to smash that like button and ring the bell to get notified with everything that goes on with this show, the rest of the spinoff shows, and of course our flagship show, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Again, hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is enjoying this week. We got one more day to the work week is over with. One more day to Friday, man. So shout out to all that. We also are a week away from the Browns actually starting practice. Now they report to camp. Everybody will be in camp next Wednesday, the 24th. But the 25th is when they actually hit that practice field and get everything going. And I'm pretty sure that we're all excited to get the football season underway, to get everything off and rolling. Like you can smell the football in the air. Like it's really literally that close. It's really that like it's just around the corner. And so with that, you got a lot of these athletes that's wrapping up their off season, their vacations, their camps and things like that. And Deshaun Watson held his 7-on-7 camp, his second annual 7-on-7 camp yesterday. And he was gifted one of the state championship rings by the Glenville Tarblooders. So shout out to Glenville for doing that. And, you know, he was asked about his rehab. He talked to Zac Jackson of The Athletic, and he basically told him that he was taking everything one day at a time. He told him that everything has been set in stone as far as his rehab schedule, and that he has not had any setbacks or anything that's holding him back. He also alluded to that he's thrown a lot since we last seen him at mandatory OTAs, and that he even took a trip down to Florida to throw with Amari Cooper, who is currently holding out, waiting on a new deal. Now, last week when I was joined with by Quincy Carrier and G. Bush, this video surfaced of Deshaun Watson working out, basically, you know, getting ready for camp, throwing the football around. The dude looked good. He doesn't look like anything is stopping him from achieving everything that he wants to do from a quarterback standpoint. He doesn't look like he has any limitations with throwing motion, throwing accuracy, or throwing power. Legs look like he's running around pretty good. So Deshaun Watson looks healthy. He looks like he's ready to go for the start of the 2024 season. Wyatt Teller, Cleveland Browns All-Pro and Pro Bowl offensive lineman, you know, talked about that he's shown that those flashes of being elite and of being great. And I think when you get ringing endorsements from veterans on your team, it definitely helps you in the long run, and it goes a long way, you know, and boosting the confidence. Last episode, we talked a lot about wins versus stats, and you know how Deshaun Watson viewed that himself, and he understood that, you know, he can't suck. He understands that, you know, he can't be mediocre. But he also understands that, you know, his personal success have to somewhere mesh or meet in the middle with the team success in order for us to achieve our ultimate goal and reaching and winning a Super Bowl. And so I'm bringing that point up again because it seemed like the conversation behind Deshaun Watson and what it needs to look like, how it needs to be dressed up, continues to be had ever since me and Bull kind of had that heated debate back and forth. I thought it was good content for you all. You all clearly enjoyed it. I think whenever you see me get emotional, Bull get emotional, or G. Bush get emotional, whether you all know it or not, it triggers emotions within y'all. Whether y'all agree or disagree with what we say, you feel some way strongly enough to where, like, now you either pissed off or you feel like finally somebody get what you're trying to say. So I think it's cool when those type of debates get a little heated because, again, we're here to like create an emotional reaction. And I think we did a good job of doing that. But I do notice that everything with Deshaun Watson, it seems to create an emotional reaction one way or another. And I think that, you know, the sooner that we get to actually some real football being played, I think we can just calm ourselves and just get ready to enjoy this season that's coming up. Now, Deshaun Watson did say, or he didn't say, you know, whether or not he would be restricted as far as throwing every day come training camp, or what the plan is for him come training camp. And I think that was smart of him not to answer that question. The reason why I feel that way is because Sometimes because whatever reasons that we have, I think we're looking to box Deshaun Watson in based on what he say. And me, I try to be very, very careful with the words I use based on my past experiences. Before I started this journey, I spent 10 years working for the municipal court system. I spent 8 years with the city of Cleveland. I spent a year with Euclid and a year with the county. And in all of those stops, I spent a lot of time working one-on-one with judges. And when you work with judges, when you spend time with judges, you get the opportunity to learn a lot. And when you're inside of a courtroom, everything is on the record unless somebody actually says, Judge, this is off the record. And what you say on the record, word for word, can be held against you in a court of law. But to me, there's that same real life parallel to people will try to box you in based on what you say and what you don't say. And I feel like personally that, people be waiting on the other shoe to drop when it comes to Deshaun Watson, or that people might have him on such a high level of expectation that they're waiting to use something against him, so to speak. It's almost like when you coming into a situation and you already have a bias and you're looking for anything to support whatever bias you have. And that can be good or negative, to be totally honest with you. And so, I think he did a great job of just answering that question straight up. Like, you know what? I have not, my rehab schedule is what it is. I have not had any setbacks. I feel great. I'm ready to roll. And I think, if he would have answered like, yeah, I plan on throwing every single day in camp, and then he doesn't throw every single day in camp, then it's more speculation about the injury and things like that. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Deshaun Watson can't suck. I don't know why people feel like I'm trying to make excuses for Deshaun Watson, or that, I'm not being realistic. He can't suck. And I stand behind the fact of Deshaun Watson doesn't have to be all world for the Cleveland Browns to accomplish what it is they're setting out to accomplish. I feel like when you hear people like Peyton Manning tell you and Tyvis Powell tell you that, football is a team sport, I would hope that hit a little harder than me telling you the same exact thing. The truth of the matter is you're going to always need all 11 players on that side of the ball moving in a direction, doing their individual job to contribute to team success for the team to reach their goal. This nonsense that Deshaun Watson has to be a top 5 statistical quarterback for the Browns to be Super Bowl champions, I'm going to call BS on that 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That's just how I see it. Because when you look at the top 5 guys who finished in passing yards last year in the NFL, none of those dudes ended up winning the Lombardi. That was Pat Mahomes. I think he finished with the 6th most passing yards in the NFL last year. Tua threw for over 5,000 yards and didn't show up when it mattered most. I am not a guy who's a stats guy. Most of my takes, most of my opinions is based on what I see with my eyes or what my internal feeling is. I don't bring stats to the table every single discussion because that's what everybody else does. And so I bring them to the table, my opinion, when it's time to. I'm not going to sit here and act like I can just totally ignore the stats this upcoming season, but I can definitely tell you what stats I will be paying attention to each game that passes this season. I will be paying attention to how Deshaun Watson looks in the 4th quarter, how Deshaun Watson looks in the last 4 minutes of a game, and how Deshaun Watson looks when the Browns are within a 7-point span, whether we up 7, down 3, up 3, down 4, up 4. If the game is within 7 points, the game is in the closing 4 minutes of said game, and then in the 4th quarter of those games. To me, in my opinion, those are the clutch stats. Those are the stats that really matter most. Again, Deshaun Watson can't suck. Deshaun Watson needs to show up and make big plays and big moments, and he cannot turn the football over. And if he do those things, the Browns will have success. But that's him just doing his part. Everybody else got to step up and do their part as well. The defense has to be better on the road than it was last year. We're going to need some help across the board. But I will caution you all on this because I think this kind of gets lost in a lot of conversations. The Cleveland Browns are going into year 1 in a new offensive system. This may not be Ken Dorsey's system or Kevin Stefanski's system. If you hear both of those men talk, they'll tell you this is something that they've combined on. This is something that they've done together. This is something that they put forth together. And with that, I think comes a learning curve. No matter how much you study or you put in work in the offseason, OTAs, mini camps, and whether it's mandatory or voluntary or whatever the case may be, we all know that once you actually are out there against another opponent, when it really counts, there are going to be some growing pains. The Cleveland Browns made swift and real changes on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the coaching staff. You got a new offensive line coach, you have a new running backs coach, and then you have a new offensive coordinator. And then you have to consider, you got some rookies coming in, you got Jerry Jeudy that's now on the fold. And so there's going to be some timing and some chemistry growing pains that's going to take place. The key is to make sure that those growing pains are not mass, right? I think that when you have a team this talented with all these players across the board, it'll be about how they can pick up the playbook, how they can pick up the offense, and then how they can gel together and be on the same page. And of course, health is going to be another factor in all of this that's taking place. And so, I'm looking forward to training camp. I'm really looking forward to seeing more than what we've seen in OTAs and things like that. I think it's cool that they're going back to the Greenbrier for another year. It seems like that time together, away from everybody else, away from the world, it did them a lot of good, especially when you reach those adverse parts of the football season that the Cleveland Browns went through last year. And so, when I look at Deshaun Watson and how he finished up, here's the stats from the last 3 games last year. Completed 68% of his passes for 721 yards, 5 touchdowns against 1 interception. And the Browns were 3-0 in those games. This is the impression that Deshaun Watson left me with. And it would be interesting to see, how he hits the ground running this year. I think Tyvis put it perfectly yesterday on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show when he said, he just doesn't believe that Deshaun is going to have a bad year or that he's going to suck this year. And, maybe I'm just letting my fandom show or whatever the case may be. But honest to God, I don't think he's going to suck either. So, y'all tell me what y'all think. Your opinions, thoughts, and opinions on the 707 youth camp that he held. Zac Jackson asking him the questions. Deshaun saying, hey, I'm ready to roll. Haven't had any setbacks. But he also didn't box himself in about how it's going to look during training camp. And to me, I thought it was smart not answering that question because, again, you box yourself in and then there's a situation that arises that was unexpected and you miss some time in camp or you're not throwing certain days in camp, it's going to lead to more speculation. So the less you say when it comes to those situations, probably the better off that you are. We're going to take a break. When we come back from break, man, we're going to talk about Amari Cooper. Deshaun said he took a trip down to Florida, and him and Amari is on the same page. That is coming to you next on the Ultimate 216 Show. But first, man, don't forget this episode of the Ultimate 216 Show is brought to you by Game Time. Man, the Guardians are back in play starting tomorrow night against the San Diego Padres. If you're trying to get tickets this weekend to catch the Guardians in their first homestand since the All-Star break, all you got to do is download the Game Time app today. You can use promo code LOCKEDONNFL, save $20 off your first purchase. And if you're a last-minute person, you're just getting off work, you might have had some plans in place and those plans got canceled, and you're like, you know what? I want to go see my baseball team play. Don't trip, man. You save more money the later that you wait to purchase with Game Time. So again, download the Game Time app today and get your tickets, man. Game Time, the sponsor of the Ultimate 216 Show. So Deshaun said that he took a trip down to Florida and he threw with Amari Cooper. Deshaun said he's been throwing a lot, but this trip down to Florida with Amari just to make sure the timing was right, just to make sure that they was on the same page and that they was in rhythm. By all accounts, it looks like that Amari Cooper will not be present when the Cleveland Browns break for training camp next week. And it's unfortunate because this is a big year for Deshaun Watson. This is a big year for this entire team. And honestly, this is a big year for Amari Cooper. And I think that when you're going into a new season with a brand new offense, you need all hands on deck starting right away. And Amari is the biggest piece of the puzzle, not named Deshaun Watson on the offensive side of the ball. We all know that Nick Chubb is great, and I'm not taking that away from him, but when it comes to pass catchers, he is the number one target. And Amari Cooper has balled in his first 2 years since he's been in Cleveland. There's no doubt about that. You look at it, last year he put up 1,250 yards, scored 5 touchdowns, averaged 17.4 per reception. In his career, he's close to 9,500 yards. He got 60 touchdowns. He's 30 years old now, and the dude hasn't stopped balling out. And so clearly he's been the Browns' best weapon. I believe he has the most receiving yards in the AFC North, just in front of Jamar Chase in the last 2 years. And then he's second in receiving touchdowns to Jamar Chase in the last 2 seasons in the AFC North as well. So the dude has been flat out like great. And him not being here, in my opinion, to start camp, it doesn't bode well for many people. When the Cleveland Browns traded for Jerry Jeudy, it was, to me, with the mindset of, okay, you have Amari Cooper here to be a big brother, to be a teacher, so to speak, to Jerry Jeudy, at least for the next season or two. That way you can help him grow as a pro. And then when Amari contract is up, if everything goes well, you slide Jerry Jeudy into that wide receiver one. If Cedric Tillman develops, if, when it comes to Elijah Moore, etc. A whole bunch of ifs, right? And the if as a fifth, we'll all be drunk. I think we know that saying. So I think he made that move with the vision in mind of, okay, I got a veteran wide receiver who's a pro to kind of groom this kid who's going to be next in line. And then the way that Andrew Berry does business, he'll let Amari Cooper just move on. And when Amari, seen all these different wide receivers getting paid, he stepped back. He said, hell no. I'm a baller too. I need to go get my money too. And, the conversation becomes, for the last 4 years, we've seen how Andrew Berry does business as the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, right? We see the type of moves that he makes. We see the type of trades that he makes, etc. When he goes out there and he goes to trade for a wide receiver, 9 times out of 10, it's a dude that's underperformed, that's probably somewhere between 24, 27 years old, and his ceiling is higher than what the production has been so far. And he believes, because of the culture change in this organization, he being Andrew Berry, he believes that, okay, if I get that particular player in this building with this head coach, then I can get more out of him than the last organization did. There's no secret he was infatuated with Jerry Jeudy. And so it shouldn't shock anybody that he made the deal and then he paid him. I don't think that's something that's far-fetched. Hell, he traded for Elijah Moore last year, where the reports and the rumors were he was trying to trade for Elijah Moore the year before that. And so you got a guy with Elijah in particular who's playing on the last year of his contract with a lot to prove. And he's trying to go out there and earn a new NFL contract, whether it be with the Cleveland Browns or somebody else. So I guess the only pro to Amari Cooper not being there is you get guys who, like Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy, they get more reps. They both move up the depth chart and they get more reps. A guy like Cedric Tillman, he's going to get an opportunity to showcase his improvements from the offseason. A guy like David Bell, Jamari Thrash, the rookie wide receiver, a guy that I'm really high on, Michael Woods. You get all these young wide receivers now with the opportunity to kind of step up, show what they have. It'd be interesting to see how this entire thing plays out. The Browns are a much better team when Amari Cooper is available to them. What he brings on the football field, what he brings in film session, and what he brings in the locker room, it can't be matched. And I think it's a good thing to know that he has the support of the players on his team. They understand, man, he out here trying to get a bag. And this might be the last time that Amari Cooper gets the opportunity to sign a contract, a lucrative contract that's going to pay him a whole lot of money. He's on the back nine of his career, and rightfully so. It's good business to get out there and get as much money as you can, especially when your position group is jumping the way that it is. Like, if you're a wide receiver right now, man, you eating. You get the opportunity to go out here and get a real bag. Like, I think a lot of people even look at the contract that Jerry Jeudy got and say, okay, well, Andrew Berry overpaid or he should have waited. But when you look at all the contracts that's being handed out right now, and I think average per year salary, Jerry Jeudy is being paid anywhere between the 25th and the 20th ranked wide receiver in the NFL, which is about where he falls as far as production. So, it looks like that Andrew Berry might have hit on another one. But the sooner that we can get this situation figured out with Amari Cooper, the better. I don't know if it's a matter of dollars or it's a matter of years that still have, talks the way that they are and can't come to an agreement. I say it again. We know how Andrew Berry does business. And right now, it doesn't look like Amari is going to get an extension. And I hope I'm wrong in saying that. But man, when you just go out there and you pay your kicker and you give him an extension, and then there's all these rumblings about, Jock getting an extension, it's just starting to feel more and more like Amari might be the odd man out. And this is something that we knew was going to be on the table. We knew eventually that Andrew Berry was going to have to start making some tough decisions when it came to this roster. And this may be the first of many to come. We've fallen in love with guys like Amari Cooper, guys like Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio. We got some guys that's been on this team for quite a few seasons now that's been productive, and the fans love these guys, right? Especially the people who embodies that, hard hat, lunch pail mentality that most Clevelanders have. And so it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully we can get Amari back in there. But the one thing I will say about Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, these dudes always got a plan A through Z. Plan A is to definitely have Amari Cooper available, the beginning of training camp, new contract in hand, and then he's there to help his quarterback achieve success. But if that's not the case, the show must go on. So we'll see. Hopefully, it's not too long that we without. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna talk about a trade that a lot of us been talking about. That is not going to happen, man. But first, don't forget to catch all of our spinoff shows: the Ultimate Guardian Show with Adam the Bull and Zach Meisel, the Ultimate Cash Show with my man Mikey McNuggets, the Ultimate Brown Show with my man G Bush. We got the internet sold up, y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and stay notified. You never know when we drop a new episode. So a lot of the talk the last day or so has been, would you trade Amari Cooper for Brandon Ayuk if, that was something that was presented? And I'm going to ask you all that before we get up out of here. You could just say yes, no. You could drop a 1 if you are willing to keep Amari, give him a new deal, or drop a 2 if you would swap out Amari for Brandon Ayuk and give him a new contract. It's a tough conversation to be had. It's an interesting conversation to be had, but it's fun, right? We're a week away from training camp. We ain't really got much else to talk about. So why not get these stories out here while we can? Take a look at their numbers from last year. This is 2023 season stats of Amari Cooper versus Brandon Ayuk. 72 to 75 receptions, both well over 1,200 yards receiving, touchdowns 5 to 7. He averaged 17.9, 17.4. So the question is Ayuk a better player than Amari Cooper? And my gut and my heart right now today, no. And see, for me, it's hard to have these conversations because, I like to judge how good are you over a 2-3 year span, how good are you over the entirety of your career. Amari Cooper has been in the NFL for a long time. And more often than not, man, the man has been a dog ever since he stepped out there on that football field. But Brandon Ayuk is an ascending wide receiver. He's a young dude, man, who showed he got some skills, and a lot of people might attribute that to the fact that he plays for the San Francisco 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, a team that got plenty of weapons. And the reason why he's that good is because of the system he's in. But to be totally honest with you, man, he was a kid that I watched coming out of Arizona State that I thought he was very, very good. I thought he was a baller, and I thought, he showed time in and time out as he's gotten opportunities throughout his NFL career that he can play this game at a very, very high level. And by all rankings, Brandon Ayuk right now is a top 10 to 12 wide receiver based on every, quote unquote expert that's ranking these guys. And so if the Browns could make that deal even though I don't think that Ayuk is better than Amari Cooper today, I still would make that deal because the goal is to get younger at wide receiver and to get that position group locked up. You have to start planning for life without Amari Cooper. That's a harsh reality. I know people don't want to hear, but it's still a reality, and it's still something that, as the general manager of this team, he will be doing this fan base a disservice if he was not doing so. So if you, for whatever reason, was able to get Brandon Ayuk and you gave up Amari Cooper and say they asked for a third round pick, I would make that deal. I would really make that deal. Tyvis did a great job of explaining how he's an instant fit into what San Francisco likes to go. Likes to do. He being Amari Cooper, if this deal was to be made, and you here in Cleveland, you kind of get an ascending Amari Cooper type. Probably with more speed. I mean, he's a route running assassin. He can catch damn near every single pass. He can run every route. That's the thing that's big to me. He can run every route. He has the speed. He has the hands. And he's like 26 years old. And I think those are the type of guys that Andrew Berry is looking for, which is why, unfortunately, right now, today, I don't feel all that confident that Amari Cooper is going to get the extension that he's looking for from the Cleveland Browns, simply because I just can't recall this being the way that Andrew Berry does business throughout his tenure as the Browns GM. Now with all that being said, you see the third bullet point not happening. If I'm the San Francisco 49ers, I'm not trading Brandon Ayuk. I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to resign Brandon Ayuk, and I'm trying to chase a Super Bowl. And from their standpoint, why would they trade a wide receiver that's 26 years old on the last year of his deal for a wide receiver that's 30 years old on the last year of his deal? It don't make sense, right? That's just how I see it. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What's your whole thought process on the Amari Cooper situation? Do you think Andrew Berry is going to give him a new deal? And if not, what do you think the plan is for Andrew Berry to make sure that this receiver room is still productive moving forward, even if it's not a trade for Brandon Ayuk? If you got any other player that you might be interested in, drop them in the comments, man. Or as well, before we got to get out of here, if there's anything that you want to see talked about on the Ultimate 216 show, any guests that you want me to have, man, feel free to drop those in the comments. As always, man, I love you all. I appreciate you all for spending time with me. Y'all know how we do it, man. Till next time, be great and spread love. Remember, being great come with a price, but spreading love, that thing that there is priceless. I'm out of here.